Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to do an updated video on the Ark Survival Ascended dedicated server manager. It's been a couple months since I last did a video, and the layout has completely changed, so I figured that it would be time to go over this. This time I'm doing it on an old server of mine, so this will give you a good idea of how long things should take to download and start, seeing as this is about as slow of hardware as what you can run the servers on. So to get started, we're going to look up the Ark Survival Ascended dedicated server manager. And if you go over to the installation guide, you'll see that we have some prerequisites. Most anyone is going to be running Windows 10 or 11, or Server 2019 or later. This system is actually running 22, I believe. Windows Server 22. So I meet that. The .NET Framework 4.8. If you're on Windows 11 or 22 or later, I think this is activated by default. But to find this, .NET Framework 4.8 download. Simple as that. And you just do the web installer, runtime, and as you can see, I already have it. Even though I've never downloaded a .NET framework, I already have a later update. So um, most of your systems won't need that, but it's good just to double check. The next thing is the VC redistributables 2013 to 2022. Now, I will say that I did download them on this machine. They are installed. However, if I go over here to the no VC one, it loads the program up without them. And if I go to start a server, the server console actually does come up. Now, I'm not sure if this is because of server 22 having backend stuff, but that's for another. day to figure out. So to get these VC redistributables, there's the 2013 and then the 2015 to 22. So what you need to do is VC redist 2013, download, and it will be the first link. You hit download, you select your version, you just hit download, and it'll download and you install it. Simple as that. For the 2015 to 22, VC redist 2015 to 22, download. And it's going to be this first one again. And this time it's not going to have a big blatant download button. You'll scroll down until you find this latest Microsoft Visual C++ redistributable version. And then you're going to choose it from here. And it'll download, you install, you're good to go. Now the last thing is the Amazon certificate. It used to be that you had to search for this to get it installed, or download the Epic Games launcher. You didn't have to sign in or anything, you just had to have it installed and ran once and it would install the certificate for you. Now, the manager has a nice little button right here at the top left. It's bright green, install/update Amazon certificates. So you don't have to have that before you install the program. So now that I've touched on all those, let's just go ahead. We'll just minimize that and we'll go ahead and run our manager. Now, upon first launch, you're going to be greeted with a screen like this. And yes, I have a profile made already, but we're going to go through the process of making a new profile. So just pretend that this isn't there. Now to initialize a new profile, all you got to do is initialize a new profile, select a server path. What I always do is I make it on my C drive. And if you look in here, you can see that servers has inside of it test island, or the island test, which is what my profile is that I already have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select server since that's the directory that I want it to be in. And then my new profile is going to be, we'll just do the center test. And we create a profile. Now, once you have that up, you can load the profile, which will bring you to this screen. Now I'm just going to go ahead and load up my other profile as well. But this is a brand new profile. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click reinstall Steam CMD just to make sure that the installation is okay. It's pretty quick. And then the next thing that you do is you install the server. So we're going to go ahead and let that download while I use this other profile to go over some of the things. Once you're all downloaded, you'll be able to select your map here, and you'll see that the map file automatically changes for you. Get this up. Now, over in the command line option, this is where you can put in all your command line arguments, set your server platform, your max players, a whole bunch of different things like disabling BattleEye, which I just have always disabled because BattleEye doesn't really work on your dedicated server or the player servers. It only works on the official or the Nitrado servers, so I just disable it by default. You can see different things like the force allow K flyers, uh, no dinos except for specific spawns. You can have it be exclusive join so that only whitelisted people can join. You can do the different colors from the different events. Um, and then over on this side, you can. I always set my port in here because it's a lot easier. Um, so I have these set up. Typically, you won't have to use this advanced network settings unless you have a weird network setup. This is important. The cluster configuration. We'll actually be going over that uh, two different ways. We'll be doing it if you're running servers on the same machine and if you're running servers on different machines. So I'll show you all of that here later. And then the store configuration. If you have uh, issues with players signing out or transferring servers and then their profile seems to get lost, this is what this is for. I've never had to do it. It's a bug from Survival Evolved that never got fixed, and no one really knows why it happens. But I've never had an issue. But the important thing to know is that if you convert this, it you cannot roll it back. It is permanent. So let's see how this is coming. It's 25% done. Okay, so in here, we're gonna go to game user settings, basic server, and you're gonna see here that you have a server admin password, server password, spectator password, your session name. I don't, this port, it says 7777. However, this, since I tick this, override game user settings, server port, and Archon settings, it's going to take this one. So you can just ignore it in the game user settings. But the first thing that you need to do is change your session name. If you don't, it's going to be labeled as like ASA dedicated server manager or something like that. So always make it a unique session name or else your server may not show up because something else will show up instead. Um, Also, whenever you change stuff, always double check that it took and reload it to make sure that it took. Because I've had it so that it doesn't. My student loans are due. Um, I've had it not show up once I reloaded it because it didn't save correctly. So always make sure that you double check any changes that you do. Some of the other things that you can do with the manager is you can have it uh, just restart every so many hours. You can have it shut down at a specific time on specific days. Now, anything in gold, like this update server from Steam after shutdown, that's a premium feature. So you can't tick that, unfortunately, but I can tick the other one. So you're going to want this start server after shutdown, or else it's just going to shut down and not come back up. And then you can come over here to the backups, and you can set up how many versions or save files of the server you want to keep. It goes all the way up to 300. Um, I run mine at 300, and then you can set the increment, and that can be as small as 5 minutes all the way up to a week. I don't know why you'd want to only have a save every week, but hey, to each their own. Um, Additionally, you can set up player backups and select how many of those saves to keep. It'll save at a connect and a disconnect. So good to always keep those in mind. Now let's see how this is coming. Okay, it's almost done. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this started. Now, upon the first boot of your server, you should be met with a firewall warning. Now, mine did not come up because I've already had this up. And if we go to my advanced settings here, and click inbound rules, we'll see that I have an X by my Arc Ascended server. Now, that's because I clicked cancel. So if you ever get this pop up and let me see here. Let's just kill the server. We'll relaunch it here. So you'll see I have this. If you ever get this and you hit cancel, that's going to immediately put that server as being blocked. And what this can do is this can make it so that even if you're on a local network, you will not be able to connect to that server. So it's very important that you don't accidentally hit cancel whenever that comes up. So we'll just clear out these rules. And we'll kill that again so that it pops up. Now, this time, we're going to hit allow access, but you also want to make sure that you tick the private networks and the public networks because sometimes your home network doesn't register as being a private network. So you want both of them to be ticked. Oh, my VM froze for a sec. So now that we allow access, if we come over here and check our inbound rules again, we'll see that we have 2 entries for our Arc Survival Ascended. And that's just going to put it as any, it's not going to have specific ports. So you're pretty much guaranteed on all of them. That was weird. Uh, if you get this orange, that means that something messed up and it's not detecting the server correctly. So I'm just going to close it out real quick. and reopen it. Always run it as administrator. Oh, I hope that that finished downloading. Okay, it's booting. It's on that one. Um, well, this is kind of funny because I forgot that this one was installing. So let's see if just reopening it will fix this. Okay, it's detected that it's all installed. So, while this one's booting up, we'll go through the initial configuration. Whenever you install a server, the first thing you got to do is make sure that your map is correct. So we want this to be the center. Um, this enable zombie server detection is a good thing to have enabled because it detects if a server gets stuck while launching, and if it doesn't launch within a predetermined set of time between 5 and 30 minutes, it'll reboot it and try to start it again. So since this is a little slow, I'm going to give it 15 minutes. Um, so we're going to go over to command line. We're going to make this 8002, and this was 2800, if I remember correctly. 8,000 and 28,000. So whenever you make your second server, it needs to be incremented by 2 on the server port, and your Archon port can be incremented by 1. We're not doing a cluster yet. If we go over to game user settings, we can see that this has the default name ASA Dedicated Manager Server. So we're going to make this the center test. We're going to save it. We're going to check that it's there. We're going to reload it. We're going to check that it's there again. And it is. Okay. Now, this isn't fully booted up yet. It says that the full startup took 220 seconds, but until this actually gets an additional line down here, it is not booted up yet. So it'll stay in this ticking loop status until it starts advertising the server. And which you can see right there, server has completed startup and is now advertising for join. So if I go over to Arc here, come on, ASA, We're going to show password protected. We're going to show player servers. If you have a password, you need to have this ticked. If you're doing self-hosting, you have to have this ticked, or else it will not show up. Here. Okay. ASA dedicated, the island test. And this is my server. Okay. I thought for a second there it wasn't going to connect. And as you can see, I'm able to get
Are you
in.
the one I've been waiting for?
And we're able to play. So everything's working as it should be. Now, I am connecting to that through my local network, so I'm going to be able to connect, but if I have a friend try to connect at this moment, they wouldn't be able to because you have to port forward your ports for your server on your modem or router, or both if you have both. But you can see I'm hitting it from my local network. So let's go ahead and kill this server. And we're going to go ahead and set up the cluster. So we're going to go to command line. We're going to come down here to cluster configuration. And we're going to generate a cluster ID. Now, with this custom cluster path, if you're doing it on the same computer or the same workstation, what I typically do is I just go here, make a new one, and type cluster, and just have it point to there. Because all it's doing, the only purpose of this folder is to hold the data, your player data, whenever you're transferring between servers. So basically, if you're on the island and you go to swap servers, it takes your player data from the island, puts it in the cluster, and then puts it in the center. So that's all it does. Now, that's if you have a machine that can handle running multiple servers. If you don't have a machine that's running multiple servers, you need to have some kind of shared storage that's available for everyone to be able to, all the machines to be able to connect it to. I have this mapped to the Z drive, and you can see I just made a folder called cluster, and I just put that. Now, in addition to that, you're going to need this long string of characters in that uh, on each of the machines that you want to make part of the cluster. So what I do is I usually just make a new text document, name it cluster ID, and then I'll just paste that in. And that's just going to make it so that if I go on a different machine, like this one, and I want to add that to the cluster, I can just go to my share, go to cluster, and right there's my cluster ID. I don't have any issues typing it in or mistyping it. So it just makes it that much easier. So let's go back to this one. After you have your cluster ID generated and your custom path set, you need to come down here and tick Enable Cluster and tick Enable Cluster Custom Path. If you do not have both of these ticked, your cluster will not work. So always make sure that you do that. So now that that's all set up, we can start the server again. We can come over to the center, come to our command line, scroll down to our cluster. We're going to paste in that ID. We're going to set our custom path. And we're going to enable and enable. We've renamed this. We have the port set up. So we're just going to go ahead and wait. Why is it not detecting? Okay, so we're going to start the server. This couldn't load mods library from disk is not that big of an issue. Now see, I have a new instance, so I got a new firewall pop-up. Typically, every single time that you make a new server, you're going to get this. If for some reason you are not getting this pop-up, open your Windows Defender Firewall and click Change Notification Setting. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to have it turned on and notify me when Windows Defender Firewall blocks a new app. And you'll want that for both private and public, and that will make that show up. Typically on a server, it's not set up to, on a server OS, it's not set up to give you those prompts. And if we reload our inbound rules, you can see that I have another set of the servers. Now, one of the things that I want to show you real quick is you'll notice over here that I have a machine called NoCert. And what this is it's a VM that's running a server. However, I never did this install update Amazon certificates. So you'll see that there is not a server startup was completed. Server is now advertising. But you can see that garbage collections are being triggered. So the server is up and running, but it's not advertising itself. It has to have this Amazon certificate to advertise. It can boot up, but you won't be able to connect to it. And I can even show you this is 10.0.0.77 on port 8010. So if I come over here, I can type open 10.0.0.77 8010, and you'll see it does not try to connect or anything. So if you do not have that certificate installed, your server will boot up, but you won't be able to connect to it anyway. Um, Now let's go back over here. The center is still booting. The island has booted up, so we're just waiting on the center. While we're waiting on the center, we can go ahead and get into our island. Should move this up a little bit so that we can see. And we can see my island is here. So we're just gonna join that again. And the reason why it's taking so long is because this is running on really old hardware. The hardware itself is around 10 years old. Okay, I don't know why I'm doing it that way. Okay. So the center is still booting. But as you can see, I'm able to go around. And even though it's running on older hardware, the game runs pretty smoothly. So now that it's booted, we can test out our cluster. We can see that it's showing up properly. And we can see that my character is there. And able to run around and everything. So we've downloaded a server, we've tied them together, we even used shared storage for our cluster so that we can have multiple machines running it. And to test that, I'm even going to fix this no cert. We're going to go ahead and kill this server. So this is an entirely different machine. We'll make this one. Yeah, extinction. So, so we're going to rename this profile. Okay. This is actually a good example. Sometimes you'll have this permission denied error. And what that is I apparently was not running the server manager. Gosh, go away. As admin. You get file permission errors sometimes if it's not done with admin. So we're going to close this. Yes. I want to rename this now. And now it worked. So now we can load that. We're on extinction. And we're just going to set this one up for a cluster 2, just to show that it can go between the virtual machines. So I need to come in here, get my cluster ID. We're going to paste it in there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my cluster path, which I think I can do it this way. Maybe not. Then we're going to enable and enable. We're going to go over to our game user settings. We're going to make this distinction test. We're going to save it. And this is another great thing. Sometimes whenever you shut down the manager, it doesn't remove the permissions. So you can see that this is, you know that I'm running it as administrator, but I have an issue with my game user settings not being able to be saved. And if you go and look at your game user settings and hit properties, you'll notice that it has a read-only attribute on it. Sometimes the read-only attribute doesn't get dropped like it should. So that's why this nice, convenient remove read-only is there. You can click that if you get that error, hit save again, and you're going to see it save. And then we're just going to reload it and make sure that it stayed. And now that that's all good, we're going to go ahead and start up this server. Oh, wait. No, we're not. Because we're going to install update Amazon certificates because I do not have those. We're going to fix this. Whenever you click it, it's going to show you all the different certificates that you need. And it's going to give you a brief little rundown. All you have to do is hit this install update certificates. You hit yes. It's going to install them all. And you can see that it installed them all. Oh, as you can see, my server's losing connectivity every once in a while by this red X. Um, so once they're installed, you can just click close. And we're going to boot this server now. It's going to give me the thing because I haven't allowed it. Oh, but I didn't click private. Crap. So if you do what I just did and accidentally select the wrong thing, You can type Firewall, hit Windows Defender Firewall, hit Advanced Settings, go to your inbound rules, and where it says Public, you can right click on it, click Properties, and then is it Scope? Protocols, Ports, Advanced. And you're going to want to click Private as well. So Properties, Advanced, Public, Apply, and then it's going to be all okay. And then once this is up, we'll be able to check to verify that I'm able to transfer between different machines. So while we're waiting on that, there's some stuff there that might hurt me. So I'm going to fly over to this one. As we can see, we're still only showing the island because extinction has not come up yet. And there's extinction. It just got done and is now advertising. So we can go ahead and join that. Typically, the joining to a new server is a lot faster than this. Like I said, this is on really old um, server hardware that's over 10 years old, so it's about as slow as you can get and still be DDR4 memory. Actually, no, it's not even DDR4, it's DDR3. I think it's operating at 800 or 1300 megahertz. But we got the downloading, and there we are. We're on the extinction server. So we set up 3 servers, and they're all clustered together, 2 of them running on one machine, 1 of them running on a different machine, and they're all able to communicate with each other and transfer correctly. Now, sometimes people will want to make mod or run mods on their servers. So I'm gonna go over this. If you have the premium, you'll be able to use the Find Mods button, but it if you don't have it, you'll just have to use the Mod Management button. So this is pretty easy to add mods. As you can see, there's an example here. You list the mod name, which it doesn't have to match what the mod's called. Um, we'll actually pull up CurseForge here. we'll just go ahead and stop the server. So, Curse Forge, and we want Arc Survival Ascended. And I think it's called Admin Panel. Yep. Okay. So here's Admin Panel. A lot of people use that. So we're gonna name it A panel, put a comma, then we need the mod ID, which is the project ID. Then we need a comma, then we need the URL. And it's that simple. And if you want to add multiple at the same time, you can put a semicolon and do the same thing over. I'm just going to add this one. So you do that, you click add mod manually. Oh, it won't let me because it's not done ending. The server was still on, that's why it was red. So you click add mod manually, shows up here, and you can, oh, you can't do update mod dates as a premium. I didn't know that. But one of the cool things is if you're doing this on a machine that has multiple servers, you can use the sync mods button. And you can migrate them without having to manually enter them on each one. If you find a mod on and add it to one, you can add it to all the others like that. Really easy. So once you get the mod and this is technically installed, it's not really, it's just queued up for installation. You want to click enabled. And then once you hit enable, you can go back over. You're going to hit start server. And then once the server starts, it's going to download the mod and you'll be able to see it here in the console. You'll see all this extra here. You can see successfully installed mod admin panel right here. So now whenever it boots up, it's going to have the admin panel mod on it. Now, unfortunately, there isn't a way to sync mods between profiles on different machines. So you'll still have to manually add those if you're running it on multiple machines. But what you can do is you can come to the mod management and make a text file and add this to the text file with that cluster ID. And that makes it so that you don't have to copy and paste a whole bunch of stuff. You just have to do it once if you're running multiple machines. But that's how you add mods. Now, unfortunately, one of the things that people run into when adding mods is, so we'll just say skins, okay? So a lot of the times, these skins, like this modern structure skin, oh, this is actually approved for officials. So a lot of these skins aren't server side. They're client side only. So if it's something that just reskins stuff, it's client only. If it's something that adds new structures, like this one says it's skins, so it doesn't look like. Yeah, this one actually has a notice saying only the player needs to download it, and it runs on the client side. So this one is just a complete reskin. It doesn't add any new assets. If it added new assets, it would need to be on the server. If it just reskins stuff, it's client side only. And if you try to add this to a server, it will cause it to not boot. And this developer is even nice and says that it will cause issues if you do it on the server side. I wish more people would actually do this. Just having that few lines of text would make it so that a lot of people wouldn't have this issue. Okay, it's back up now. And we put that on the extinction. You can see that it is reporting that it has a mod now. So whenever we join, we should get a prompt. We want to download admin panel. And the long wait. And we can see that admin panel is there. And we can see that admin panel is functioning as it should once I become an admin. So it's that easy to get mods set up. Now there are some things that I want to go over, like the find mods. What's this mod called? MSVV Premium Viking Builder Skin. So we're actually going to go to the art cluster here that I run. This is the same one. So MSVV Premium Viking Builder Skin. Now I do pay for premium for my server, so I can use this Find Mods button. And this Find Mods button is nice. So if I type in Viking skins, well, heck, we'll do the exact phrase. And if we search for it, you'll see that it brings up nothing. There were 0 results here. I need to reactivate my Windows again. That's great. There's 0 results. Even if we just put Viking skins, you'll see that there's nothing. And that's because the the find mods button will actually search, and if it is a client only side mod, it will not show it in the results so that you cannot add it and break the server. So it's a really nice thing. just to have that if you do a lot of mods, especially cosmetics. Now, the other thing that I wanted to go over since I'm on mine is this cache server updates premium. You'll notice that all of my stuff is red, and that's because um, I have my manage updates and automatic restarts here set up. It disables this server management tab if you have this set up. So if you do get premium, you can choose between the Steam CMD or the private content delivery network caching system. So the Steam one, I believe, does it slower but is more stable, while the content delivery network is faster but it doesn't always detect it. So this is kind of like setting up a cluster. You set it, store it to the cache. I just did C servers cache. And what it does is whenever it detects that there's an update, it will download it to that cache, and then it will queue up a restart on the servers. Or you can manually update them using this button. It's the same with the private CDN. It points to the same place. Now, the only thing that I will say is that whenever you do your cache, you need to make sure that you click the start server after shut, or no, wait, that's not it. Sorry. The Steam CMD doesn't have it. The private CDN doesn't have it either. I thought it did. Sorry. But once you have these two set up, you can check if your cache needs updated, and then you can update it using the buttons. And then if your servers need reboot or updated as well, you can select which ones you want to do, and then you can click update, and it will do it. One of the nice things about that is that it'll actually ask you if you want to delete the movie files after you get done, because that takes up 20 gigs of space. But once you have those set up, then you can go over here to the manage updates and automatic restarts button, and you can enable the automatic checking. You can select whether you want it to be all servers or just the cache. If you want to manually do your updates, you select only the cache. I let it just do it myself because a big update might come out and I might be unavailable. You can set your interval check times, how long to wait between each server restart, and how much of a warning you want to give your players before you turn off the server. I have mine set to the maximum um, because my players have a hard time noticing server messages. So, yeah. And then you just point it to your cache that you set up previously, and then you select which update method. And it says even here, detection of updates slower but more reliable, detection of updates faster but less reliable. So I had these backwards. The content delivery network is slower but more reliable. The Steam one is faster but less reliable. And then once you have this set up, you can set up this side. And what this side does is it basically does what your server management tab does. You can select your days of the week, what time you want the servers to restart. You can even set up a second restart if you're running a very busy server and it needs to be rebooted multiple times in a day for stability purposes. You can activate that. And then if there's other servers that you just don't want rebooted for some reason, you can select which ones are like that. So there's a couple nice things that you get from that, from the premium. Even whenever you're in the server management core, you'll be able to update, check files, and roll back and verify file integrity with the premium. There are ways to do it without. Um, if you go to the Discord for the manager, you'll be able to see what those are. But that's everything that I have. So I hope that this was informative for you and a little bit better laid out than the previous one, and also covered a few extra things that I didn't think of last time. So, uh, feel free to stop by the Discord if you have any questions. We're all users there except for the developer, so uh, be patient with getting a response. There's no dedicated team or anything, but we try to help out as much as we can. Have a nice day and take care.